Evolutionary genetics, the process of speciation. The origin of species. Charles Darwin initially proposed the theory of evolution. What is evolution? Evolution means slow and gradual change. In his book, Darwin, The Origin of Species, he hypothesized that natural selection was the driving force of evolution. What is a species? In evolutionary genetics, a species is defined as a group of interbreeding or potentially interbreeding organisms which share a common gene pool. It does not exchange genes with other such groups. Reproductive isolation, which is one of the important criteria of a species. Each species is found to be reproductively isolated from every other species. It means whether a group of organisms able to exchange genes or not. If they do, they are classified as single species. If they do not, they are classified as separate species. Reproductively isolated species. So these are some photographs of animals which are reproductively isolated. As for example, common dog, Canis lupus familiaris, cat, Felis catus, chimpanzee, Pan troglodytes, gorilla. So these are all reproductively isolated separate species. Now, types of reproductive isolation. Reproductive isolation are classified into two types. One is prezygotic, another is postzygotic. Prezygotic isolation mechanism prevents the members of different groups from producing hybrids offspring. Example, ecological isolation based on habitat preference, which prevents it from mating with each other. Another type of reproductive isolation is postzygotic, where hybrids which are formed are prevented from passing on the generation to the next or to the descendants due to your hybrid sterility. So this is called postzygotic reproductive isolation. Modes of speciation, that is how speciation occurs. One of the speciation type, it is called allopatric speciation. Allopatric speciation means that is when organisms are separated geographically, that is they are separated geographically. Here in this diagram, number 1, we are showing that is a population of organisms inhabits a territory, then they are subdivided by geographical barrier, which is shown here in green color. So when they are subdivided by geographical barriers such as desert, then mountains, etc. After separation by geographical barriers, there is a reproductive isolation occurs and genetic change occurs, as a result of which distinct species are formed, and there is an origin of distinct species which are reproductively isolated from each other. So as a result of which two different species are formed. This type of speciation is called allopatric speciation, that is speciation due to your geographical barrier. Next one is sympatric speciation. That is when organisms are cohabits in a same territory, then they are genetically modified and new species develops. Here in this diagram, figure number 1, here we are showing a population of organisms inhabits in a territory. Number 2, subpopulation form in the absence of the barriers and begin to differentiate genetically. In the figure number 3, due to genetic differentiation leads to reproductive isolation, and a result of which a distinct species originates. So, sympatric speciation, that is when a populations or organisms are living together, but due to your genetic differentiation leads to reproductive isolation, and as a result of which distinct species originates. So, this type of speciation is called sympatric speciation. We can conclude that species is a group of organisms that share a common gene pool. That is the genetic definition of species. Allopatric mode of speciation is the prevalent mode in creating the species that exist today. On the other hand, sympatric speciation has also contributed to species diversity. In this module, we have provided key concepts of the module, suggested books for reading, quizzes, and study materials. Thank you for attending our online course.